You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Carbral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Carbral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you back with me here today on day 2 of our Cabral House Calls. Today, we'll be going through more of our community's questions that come in from literally all over the world. That's the great thing about what we have here with our online community is that we literally get to speak with people, work with people every single day throughout the world. And it's pretty amazing, too, because you know, a lot of us feel isolated where we are, whether it be here in the U.S., in Canada, the U.K., Australia, New Zealand, Europe. We work with people in India, in the Middle East, in South America. And I'll tell you right now that a lot of what you struggle with, no matter what it be, whether it's body transformation or mindset, mental health, physical wellness, is that someone else, just like you, is struggling with the same exact thing. And many other people, just like you, previously struggled with what you're currently struggling with right now, and they found their answers and they got well. So that's what I hope to provide here on the Cabral House Calls, on the weekends editions of the Cabral Concept, is enabling you for that first place to move towards, right? If you listen to this coming Monday, so tomorrow's Mindset and Motivation Monday, I'll be talking about something called the nocebo effect, and I'll be talking about something called victimhood versus the empowered patient. I would really love for you to check that out. So that's going to be coming tomorrow on our Motivation and Mindset Monday. One other thing that I'd like to share with you today is I don't even know if it's still available, but my team sent me a note saying before you record your podcasts for this weekend, let people know that there is a great offer going on for the starter kit. The starter kit is simply our organic acids test and our hair tissue mineral analysis. We bundle that together. It allows people to save money, and I don't know if there's any left. I honestly do not, but I can tell you that at least the last couple days, we've been giving away our advanced collagen support. So not only do you save money with the starter kit, but you also get a $59 bottle of the absolute best collagen support product out there right now for the hair, skin, nails, and overall gut-based health. So if that interests you, just figured I would pass along. My team over at equilibriumnutrition.com shared that with me. So right now, though, let's get into our questions and see if we can help some people throughout the world. Caris is up next, or Caris is up first. C-A-R-I-S. Caris? Maybe it's Caris. Hi, Dr. Carbral. Firstly, thank you for so openly sharing your wealth of knowledge to all of us. I'm so grateful to be learning from you all the way from Australia. My question is in relation to my dad's health. He's 61 and suffered from reflux since he was in his 20s and has been on the highest dose of Nexium, which is essentially an acid blocker, for the past 30 years. The past 10 years, he's been having surgery every 6 months to remove a lot of gastric polyps. He said his stomach lining is chronically inflamed. I've been doing a lot of research, and the Nexium in his stomach is suppressing the acid. He has high cholesterol, requiring statins. His doctors said that it's better to stay on Nexium and deal with recurring gastric polyps than developing esophageal cancer as a result of his reflux. He eats a very healthy diet with lots of fruits and vegetables, rarely has junk food. I fear that his low stomach acid means he's not absorbing enough nutrients, and I'm looking for your help. Anything would be grateful. Okay, Caris, thank you for writing in. We see this quite often in our practice, and I have to tell you a couple things. So your doctors are saying, your gastroenterologists are saying, yes, you want to keep blocking that acid. But here's the problem. You're not blocking the enzymes and other things from coming up into the esophagus. There are many people that get Barrett's esophageal cancer that are on acid blockers. And the reason is that the acid does not then, if you don't have enough acid in your stomach, then the lower esophageal sphincter typically doesn't close, or it doesn't close as much, or it functions improperly. What then happens is other types of stomach acids or enzymes can come up into the esophagus and still eat away at the lining of the esophagus because the muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter, or LES, stays closed in the presence of high stomach acid. So what we need to do is run an organic acids test and stool test as soon as possible to figure out what is going on with your dad's health. And over in Australia, you're welcome to find a practitioner over there, a naturopathic doctor, an integrative health practitioner, a functional medicine doctor, or you can purchase those through equilibriumnutrition.com and we can ship them to you as well. The other thing that I highly recommend, as long as it's not contraindicated by any of your dad's physicians, is to do a 21-day Dr. Carbral detox and then begin implementing that smoothie every morning and begin to implement meals that are not going to cause that reflux or burning in the stomach. So that is the best place to start, and I hope you find success with that. I have no doubt you'll be able to find success, and that is the place where I would start. Lauren's up first. Hi, Dr. Carbral. Thank you for everything you do. I've listened to all your podcasts. Back to episode 800. I'm 5'3", 163 pounds. I've always struggled to get back to where I think I should be, which is 135 pounds, using a balanced approach. About 5 years ago, I trained for bodybuilding competition, and since then, I felt like no matter what I do, I can't lose weight. Last year, I worked with a functional medicine doctor, and I was able to finally feel like I was making progress. The problem is that he played around with intermittent fasting. At that point, I stayed at around 155 pounds, and I felt like my health was finally in control. Then I tried taking fast to the next level. I fasted until lunch every day for the past 3 months. I listened to your thoughts on this and stopped. But now, what do? I bought your thyroid support and now only fast 12 hours, 8 to 8. And do your protocol, greens, and nutritional shake, but feel stuck. I feel like my body just wants to hold on to fat. I keep telling myself it is not broken. If it is doing what its natural response is to going without food. But how do I get out of the cycle? Logically, I feel like I need to eat more often so my body knows it has food. But that goes against what I've been learning about spacing between meals. It's a great question, Lauren, and we work with thousands of people in your exact same position. What happens is, I've worked with, I couldn't even tell you, hundreds of figure competitors, models, bodybuilders, celebrities, mixed martial artists, anyone looking to make weight. Well, what we do, and I was there myself as a natural bodybuilder, I never competed. I actually got ready for a competition when I was just about 22 years old. And what happened was I was training really hard, but I was under eating that last 6 weeks of getting ready for competition. And I tore my brachioradialis. It's a muscle basically that wraps from the top of your arm, your bicep area, down to your forearm. And, it was more than a pain than anything else, but of course it stopped me from being at my peak. And so I decided that was it. I still was into bodybuilding for the next couple of years, but didn't feel the personal push towards competition. But I respect it and I understand. But always what you're doing as you're going down for competition, you're absolutely dropping your carbs, right? You're probably eating just vegetables, very small meals. They'll last at least, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks. So what we do is we start to begin to slow our metabolism. We also slow our body's ability to handle carbohydrate load. So that absolutely does affect the estrogen levels or estrogen progesterone balance in most women. Check back a couple podcasts on our Friday review for that information. You wrote in on October 24th, so you may have already listened to that. And then also you want to look at your thyroid as well as your blood sugar levels. So I can't recommend enough the organic acids. I can't recommend enough the thyroid adrenal hormone. That would be absolutely my first one, without a doubt. And then, of course, after that, I would recommend any of the big 5, probably starting with the hair tissue mineral analysis and then organic acids. So what we have to do, though, is we have to get your body to not believe it needs to hold on to that weight. So temporarily, we need to increase carbohydrates, not necessarily all of your food, and not necessarily eat more meals throughout the day, but eat more carbohydrates. Now, the problem is this. Might you gain a couple of pounds during this process? Possible. But what we're doing is understanding that you've been stuck there for 5 years. Allow your body to feel like it's in a safe zone. Allow your body to eat more carbohydrates just initially. If you've already been low carb, doing more low carb doesn't help. What we need to do is test your blood sugar. If your blood sugar is fine, we're good, right? If you wake up and your fasting glucose is below 95, we don't have any risk for type 2 diabetes here. So we're going to increase a little bit more carbs at breakfast and a little bit more at lunch. We teach this in the Integrative Health Practitioner course and certification. I implore and invite everyone that's looking to transform their life to be a part of that, even at the lowest level if they choose. What we need to do is first start with our carbs earlier in the day and maybe not at dinner. Maybe that's just more vegetables. What we're going to do is see how your body responds. Most likely you'll have more energy. You'll be able to do a little bit more exercise or keep yourself in a better mood, get more sleep, all of those things. We'll monitor your blood sugar the whole time. And what we'll do is we'll still keep the spacing between meals. We'll still use the 12 hours of intermittent fasting, maybe an extra hour or two or so. We'll also implement eventually, maybe one day a week. We'll also do the Dr. Carbral detox when your body's ready. So there's so many things that you can do. We like to go by the numbers. We like to actually look at the thyroid, but you absolutely can be using the daily thyroid support, 2 capsules at breakfast and 2 at dinner to give your body a boost. But there's a little bit more intricacies to this, and so I hope that information I just shared with you was helpful. Valeria is up next. Hi, Dr. Carbral. So I've had epilepsy for 14 years since I was 7. After listening to a lot of Ayurvedic and balanced dosha podcasts, I've grown curious as to trying Ayurvedic medicine to rid my seizures for good without undergoing risky surgery, which would impact 20% of my verbal memory. It'd be great for you to give me advice as to what I should do. Thanks. Okay. So with epilepsy, what I do is I always run the Big 5. It's an investment. I understand that. You're welcome to work with your doctor or local practitioner or work with us on it. Or we will just base it on, meaning like if you can't run the omega-3, and if you can't run the food sensitivity, well, then we'll give you what most people, 90% plus of the population, are deficient on or have too much of, right? So what we need to see, is there any intestinal permeability? Are there heavy metals? We want to look at all these things, okay? Very, very important for epilepsy. We also want to be making sure that you're going through a detox. So we're going to do a 21-day Dr. Carbral detox. But at the same time, we're also going to be using CBD oil. CBD oil can now be found at stephencabral.com/CBD-store. We keep the link pretty private. It's for our community. Many of you know the struggle we had with trying to get you the very best CBD oil in the world and how we were shut down for 5 months for unknown and very mysterious reasons. But it's now available at stephencabral.com/CBD-store. So that is all there. It works phenomenally well, and that is going to be your answer because we need to put you on a low inflammation diet. We need to make sure that there's not candida overgrowth, SIBO, or H. pylori, or parasites. If there's any autoimmune-based issues, we need to work on those rebalancing of the immune system, starting with the gut first. If there's any metals, we need to do a heavy metal detox. So you can see that it's not, do this for epilepsy. Like this, take this one pill or one system. There's no epilepsy system. What we do is we work on the individuality of the person and work on that instead. All right, Paul is up next. Hello, my name is Paul, and I'm an 18-year-old male. Lately, I've been struggling with acne, primarily perioral dermatitis, and I took an antibiotic to cure it. It worked very well, but now I'm worried I believe I've leaky gut. Listen to your podcast, to many podcasts, and hair bone broth is great for curing this. I've also had you and your team suggest an organic acids test and food sensitivity, but I can't afford those right now. Do you suggest I try bone broth? And if so, how often should I consume it? Any other suggestions? All right, Paul, great questions. I have no problem with people doing bone broth at all. The only people that I don't typically recommend or just don't say, hey, why not give bone broth a try, are those people, obviously if you're vegan, you're not going to use that, but those people that have histamine-based issues or don't do well with breaking down certain amino acids such as glycine. So what I recommend is absolutely what my team recommended. For sure, I recommend what they recommend. But of course, I totally understand, 18 years old, you can't afford the organic acids test and food sensitivity test. In the future, if you're able to, if you can just do one, is the organic acids test. I also recommend, if you can only do one, maybe just do the candida bacterial overgrowth protocol. If you just want to work on a leaky gut, then I recommend what is called our CBO finisher, the Heal and Seal, which is the healthy gut support. It's the clinically proven best way to rebuild the gut lining, and that's with glutamine, zinc, aloe, and a few other items in there. It works phenomenally well. It's all based on research. All the science is stated right on the product page. All these products are available at equilibriumnutrition.com. The other product in there is the daily probiotic support. So that works really well after antibiotic use. Acne can be bacterial-based. It can be hormone-based. It can be sugar-based. It can be yeast-based. It can be parasite-based. So you can see that there are many reasons why people get acne. Perioral dermatitis is slightly different. That has less to do with hormones and more to do with some type of reaction. The reaction could be to yeast. It could be to bacteria. It seems to be bacteria for you because it worked when you took an antibiotic. That's why I like to ask people this. So what would I do? Well, I would absolutely fix the gut permeability and absolutely either use a strong probiotic like our dairy-free probiotic and low histamine probiotic called the Daily Probiotic Support, or even use the Clean Gut Support if you would like, if you believe there's a little bit of yeast there as well. All right, Paul, hopefully that gets you started. Let's move on to Ryan's question. Ryan's writing in, "Hi, Dr. Carbral. I discovered you through listening to Ben Pack and Mind Pump and love your podcast as well. I always think that everyone obviously knows everything about functional medicine and medicine. Perioral dermatitis. This is how my mind works. It just jumps. Perioral dermatitis is essentially a rash that looks like eczema or psoriasis or shingles around the eyes. So that is what Paul was dealing with. All right. Ryan's up next. And he was just saying he listened to me in 2 other podcasts, and now he's noticed 2 itchy bumps on 2 different spots on the scalp. Ryan goes on to say that they thought they were pimples and they just wouldn't go away. Went to the doctor, prescribed an antifungal cream and then a special shampoo. Found that it suppressed the bumps, but they would move to a different spot on the scalp. My haircut barber said that it might be from not washing my hats regularly and then it might be ringworm on my scalp. He said I took antifungal pills to kill the infections, not just the topical creams or shampoos. Can you please give me recommendations that will help me fix this and not just give me temporary relief or suppressants? Are antifungal pills going to give me the long-term complications? Are more natural solutions that I've seen like garlic, turmeric, coconut oil, and aloe vera going to suppress it temporarily and not actually fix the issues? Thank you very much, Ryan. Ryan, it sounds like your barber is literally an integrative health practitioner. That's pretty amazing. Your barber's giving you great advice. It absolutely could be ringworm. For sure it could be ringworm. It could be a fungal-based rash, just like we were talking about with our friend Paul in the last question. So, and it could be from your hat? Possible. It is. So here's the deal, though. If you have the right type of bacteria, that's skin, that's nasal passages, that's mucus, that's the whole gut lining, right? If you have the proper balance of the microbiome that lives in all those spaces, this will not happen. So what I recommend is either our Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol that walks you through the process of eliminating the Candida and bacterial overgrowth and repopulating with the good stuff and then sealing up that gut wall while using a little bit of sesame oil on the scalp or coconut oil on the scalp. All of those would be fine. A little bit of apple cider vinegar before those to change that pH to kill some of that fungus as well. Those all work great. Or you might want to run the organic acids test for yourself to see if there's internal Candida overgrowth. So that's the place to start. Your barber gave you good recommendations. A little apple cider vinegar. After it dries, a little bit of tea tree oil or a little bit of citricidal drops diluted with a little bit of sesame oil or coconut oil will absolutely help topically. And then we want to work internally as well. All right. So that is the plan. Lisa's up next. I'm 39 years old and have 2 children, but over the last 3 years, I've had 2 miscarriages at 10 weeks. I'm currently doing the seed cycling and have seen good results so far. What tests do you suggest to starting to figure out what's happening with my body? I can't afford all the tests at this point, so where should I start? Great question, Lisa. And without a doubt, we love the big 5 lab tests, plus the stool if you can run that as well. However, we completely understand that it's not for everyone. So even if you can just do 1 lab, that's great. Like 1 lab is fantastic. So for you, it's the thyroid adrenal hormone, no doubt about it. And we're going to do it around day 19 of your cycle. And it's going to be on a normal stress day. Easy test, saliva test, little blood drop from the finger, super easy to do. Ship it 19 countries all around the world. You can find those tests and all the others at equilibriumnutrition.com. I am sorry to hear about those 2 miscarriages at 10 weeks. Oftentimes these miscarriages, they can happen for many reasons. If the cells and then the fetus are not developing properly, your body will naturally stop your pregnancy, right? And it does that because it knows that the life inside of you is not properly developing. Always want to look at this as a negative thing because our body does this in a way to protect all life. But let's move on past that topic because I know that it's not everyone's viewpoint and I understand that. And what I'm trying to say though is that our bodies oftentimes innately know what they are doing. And sometimes the process of the cell proliferation and the developing of the fetus does not go according to plan, how it should. And then the body says, okay, this time it did not work, but it doesn't mean that in the future it can't. Now, sometimes miscarriages occur because of low progesterone before the 12-week mark. This could be the case for you. I work with many women in this position. So what we do is this. We make sure that we get your body in the strongest possible state to become pregnant. So we're doing the daily nutritional support. We're doing the whole daily foundational level, ideally level 3. So what do? Well, here's what happens. We get the body very strong. We use a product such as Adrenal Soothe before at dinner. We use typically deep sleep support at night. We're using estrogen balance oftentimes. But again, you'd run a thyroid adrenal hormone to get all the exact recommendations. And then when you do become pregnant, we all celebrate. It's great. It's cause for celebration. It's fantastic. But then we make sure that you work with your OB and you're going to have him or her run your progesterone every week or two to make sure it's not falling. Because oftentimes you can have a miscarriage with low progesterone over that first trimester. You're certainly a candidate to make sure you are testing your progesterone quite often, especially at that crucial mark for you, somewhere between the 7, 8, 9, 10 week mark, okay? Because if you can make it past that first 12 weeks, you're typically doing well. You're typically in the clear. But work with your doctor on that. That's the expert in that. But I can tell you from a lot of experience that this has helped and worked tremendously in my practice. All right, Jane's up next. Jane's asking, hi there. I was wanting to inquire, how do I get your detox shipped to New Zealand? Jane, great question. You wrote this on October 28th. Exactly 7 days later, we began shipping to New Zealand and 19 total countries around the world. You can get the detox right over at equilibriumnutrition.com. Head on over there. In the search box, just type in detox or type in DCD, Dr. Carbral Detox, or you'll find it. It's right up there. It's basically on the first page, and no doubt you'll get to it. It's easily our most popular product out there, especially with getting started. I'm going to keep it there for today. All right. I want to be able to keep these shows right around the 22 to 25 minute mark. I want to respect your time. I think that's enough time for today. And the reason is this. The questions will always keep coming. I'm always going to be here to answer them. You can head over to cabralsupportgroup.com, answered within 24 to 48 hours by my health coaching team. If you have a product question on how to get it delivered somewhere or tracking or whatever, just email support at equilibriumnutrition.com. If you want to apply to the private practice, you can email support at stevencabral.com. Just let us know how we can help you. Honestly, we're here to help. We really are. I appreciate you tuning in to the Cabral Concept. I appreciate all the kind words that you say during these questions. I'm always here to help. And as always, if this information was helpful, please do share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.